The illusion they sold you is leaving you empty. Have you ever stopped to wonder why? Even with everything you have, you still feel like something's missing? It's like you're living on autopilot, surrounded by distractions, promises of happiness, achievements. But deep down, an unsettling silence insists on being heard. The truth, which almost no one dares to say, is that the emptiness you feel isn't due to a lack of something external. It's an excess of things that don't speak to your soul. And the more you accumulate, the further you drift from yourself. We live in an era where success is measured by likes, love by quick replies, and happiness by how well you can show you're happy. But this race, this constant need to prove everything's fine, is draining you from the inside. The modern world taught you to search in the wrong places. And now you feel tired, disconnected, full of everything, yet empty of you. This video isn't just another reflection. It's a mirror, an invitation to stop running and start listening to what your silence has been trying to tell you for so long. You'll understand why. Even surrounded by things, the hole inside you only grows, and what truly needs to happen for you to feel whole again. But fair warning, this isn't something you can buy. It's something you discover. And the first step is listening until the end. The silence growing inside you some days. You wake up with everything around you working perfectly. Phone charged, food in the fridge, fast internet, a comfortable couch, and yet something inside feels switched off. It's as if the world is whole around you, but you, inside, are in pieces that no longer fit. This feeling doesn't come from tragedy or a tangible lack. It's subtler, more insidious. And the worst part? No one notices, not even you really. You keep brushing it off, thinking it's just fatigue, a phase, or maybe loneliness. But what if it's your own emptiness sounding the alarm? We've been trained to believe the next thing will fill the void. The next phone, the next car, the next romance, the next destination, the next, always the next. But the emptiness remains. It's like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. With every sip, the thirst only grows. There's no manual for this because, since childhood, we've been taught to chase things, but almost never to look within. Some people collect clothes. Others collect degrees. Some even collect people. All to try and silence the quiet growing inside, day after day. It's not that the world is wrong for offering so many options. The problem is when you believe that's enough. That if you have everything, you'll be everything. But then, when you achieve it, when you get there, you realize the hole is still there. Only the scenery has changed. And that's where the confusion begins. If you have everything and still feel this invisible weight, maybe the problem runs deeper than you thought. Maybe the void isn't a lack of things. Maybe it's an excess. But not just any excess, one that, curiously, leads to the next chapter of the story. When excess becomes a shield, some people think they're living intensely, but they're really just running faster. Buying more, eating more, posting more. That's not freedom, it's anesthesia. And the louder the noise outside, the quieter it gets inside. It's the paradox of our century. Screams on social media, echoes in the heart. If you look closely, excess has become a shield, a modern way to hide what you don't want to feel, like throwing sand in your own eyes to avoid seeing the pain. Think about it. Why do we get irritated when our phone loses signal for 10 minutes? Or when Netflix takes too long to load? Because silence threatens, pauses threaten. They force us to listen to what we normally try to silence. It's in that space, that small void, that the hard questions arise, the ones with no ready answers or quick fixes. Why do I feel this way? Am I really happy? What am I so afraid of? And then the brain rushes to what's easy. Another video, another scroll, another like, another shield. But shields don't heal. They protect, but they also trap. And the strangest part? Deep down, everyone knows this. You know, you felt this weight. You've noticed that when you try to sleep, that's when the hardest thoughts come knocking. No music, no screen, just you and the truth you've avoided all day. Maybe that's why it's so hard to stop, because stopping hurts. But what if, instead of running, we faced it? Maybe that's the key, because the void doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to show you what you've ignored. And that's exactly where the next layer reveals itself. What we ignore controls us when you don't look inward. Someone else does it for you. And usually, They don't have your best interests at heart. The industry knows your emptiness. The algorithms smell it. That's why everything in front of you is tailor-made to keep you distracted. Feeling sad? Buy this. Lonely? Try this. We're bombarded with solutions promising instant comfort, but none truly fix anything. They just mask the pain. And the more you ignore the root of the void, the more it controls you. An old saying goes, the shadow you refuse to face becomes your destiny. And it's true. We get so used to not feeling that we start living on autopilot. Wake up, work, consume, repeat. Everything programmed, everything predictable. But inside, a part of you is screaming for meaning. And since it's not heard, it starts to sabotage. Anxiety creeps in, constant exhaustion, unexplained irritation. You think it's just stress, but it's not. It's your unlived self trying to breathe, trying to remind you who you are beneath all this. And this is where many people break. When they realize they can't run anymore. When they understand the whole they feel isn't a problem of self-esteem or success. It's a call to face what you've avoided for so long. And yes, it's scary, because it takes courage to remove the armor. But only without it can you truly recognize yourself. The good news? This deconstruction isn't the end. On the contrary, it's the beginning. That's where you start distinguishing what's real from what's just a reflection. And that shift changes everything, including the next step. The reflection never feeds the soul. Most people confuse image with essence. They think being admired is the same as being loved, that having followers equals connection. But it's all a reflection. A pretty one, maybe, but still just a reflection. And reflections don't satisfy. They feed vanity, never the soul. Like Plato said in the allegory of the cave, those who live among shadows believe that's the world, until one day the light hits. And when it does, you can't pretend you didn't see. Reality starts to hurt, but it also starts to free you. We're trapped in a showcase where everyone smiles but no one listens. Where everyone seems okay, but almost no one sleeps in peace. Filters, poses, backdrops, all carefully crafted to sustain one idea. Look how great I'm doing. But inside, the story is different. And then comes the guilt. Because if everyone seems happy and you're not, the problem must be you, right? Wrong. The problem is trying to feed on reflections. Because reflections are shallow. They don't embrace, don't comfort, don't teach. They only display. And you know what's even crueler? The constant comparison. The idea that you must match projections that aren't even real. It's exhausting. Exhausting because it disconnects you from who you really are. You start molding yourself to fit standards that don't belong to you. You wear masks that don't carry your scent. And with each step, you drift further from your core. But there's a way out. Not in perfection, the image, but in the truth of imperfection. And maybe it's time to start looking at that with more kindness. Because that's exactly where the next point hits hardest. The illusion of control and the fear of chaos. We spend our lives trying to control everything. Our emotions, outcomes, other people. We think if we're in charge, the void can't enter. But it does. It slips through the cracks logic can't reach. Control gives a false sense of security, as if life were predictable, as if the unexpected could be blocked with planning and routine. But then comes a setback, a loss, an unexpected no, and everything crumbles. It's in that collapse that we realize control was just facade. And the soul never wanted control. It wanted truth. It's funny how the fear of chaos shapes our choices. We avoid risks, avoid hard conversations, avoid even knowing ourselves deeply, all to keep the house of cards standing. But chaos is a teacher. It's what tears up the script and forces you to improvise from the heart. Have you ever seen someone reborn without pain? It doesn't happen. The soul only awakens when the structure collapses. It's on the ground that we remember the sky. So when life dismantles you, don't rush to rebuild the same way. Use the space. Rebuild with more soul and less fear. Modern emptiness is the child of this desire for control. We want everything to make sense all the time, but not everything does. And that's okay. Accepting this is maturity, because sometimes meaning isn't ready-made. It's built, not with certainties, but with presence. You don't need to understand everything now. You just need to be willing to listen to what life's trying to say in the silence. And that silence, it's not the end. It's the invitation to the next dive, deeper, truer, more inevitable. The presence that heals what no product can touch deep down. What's missing today isn't another course, gadget, or trip. It's presence. But not just any presence. The kind where your soul is fully there. To be here, truly, without checking your phone every 2 minutes. Without thinking about what's next. Without trying to escape the now. Being present is the most revolutionary act in the age of distraction. Because presence takes courage. Courage to face others. Courage to face yourself. And the emptiness that aches so much, it starts to dissolve when you allow yourself to exist, not just function. We've grown used to functioning like machines. Produce, deliver, perform. But being human isn't just about doing. It's about feeling. Being. Listening without thinking of a reply. Hugging without rushing to let go. Talking without hidden agendas. This doesn't sell. It doesn't give status. But it fills. Ever notice how a sincere coffee with someone you love can heal more than a week of motivational videos? Or how shared silence can be more therapeutic than 1,000 words? Exactly. The soul feeds on truth, not performance. And here's the point almost no one talks about. You can be surrounded by people and still be alone, because being together isn't about proximity. It's about wholeness. It starts with you, with how you treat yourself, the time you give yourself, the attention you offer yourself. Only then does it expand to others. The void screams when connection dies. But the good news? It can be rekindled. Sometimes with a gesture. Sometimes with forgiveness. Sometimes with a sincere, I'm here. And that's exactly where we get closer to the most important question of all. What's missing was never outside sometimes. What we call emptiness is just the soul's echo asking to return, to come home. Back to simplicity. Back to what can't be bought, posted, or measured. It's hard to put into words, but those who feel it know. It's like something inside whispers, you've lost yourself. And then no achievement satisfies, no compliment fills, no applause soothes. Because the longing isn't for a place, it's for a state of being, a way of living with truth, presence, purpose. The irony? We spent our lives searching out there for what was always inside. Worth, affection, recognition. It's not that the world can't offer these. It does in doses. But when you make the world your only source, you become dependent. A hostage to others' opinions, likes, external validation. And then, even surrounded by things, people, achievements, the whole remains. Because nothing external can replace the peace of being whole within. Nothing. Not fame, not fortune, not fantasy. So maybe the question isn't what's missing, but what have I been running from? Because what's missing was never out there. It was just buried under layers of noise, hurry, fear, and distractions. And now that you've heard the call, felt the discomfort, recognized the absence, now begins a journey back, one step at a time, with patience, intention, truth. And on this path, you might discover the void was never the enemy. It was just a messenger, a whisper from your soul, asking to be heard again.